Anyways, we have Ryan Rosoff here with Little King, and today's interview in January. It's a January interview.
I love how you look at your notes to see what month it is.
Yeah, I know.
Me too.
Yeah, January interview. So we'll be doing some more of these. They already know about that. So
yeah.
So anyway, so I was looking at your bio, and it's like the first thing I asked myself, when are you going to stop?
Paragraph 7, subsection 3, line 6 of the bio.
You know.
When?
Yeah,
I don't
you got
know.
9 albums.
I mean,
You got 9 albums out.
No, I have 7. I would say I have
7?
7 albums out, and then a couple singles that I released.
Oh,
so 9 releases ish. But 7 either full length or EP, and then the last couple songs we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Are from last year.
Oh okay.
And it was the first time we actually released singles. I wanted to do that because I'd never done it before. It's always been, releasing songs maybe as a single, but as a precursor to releasing more of like a full length.
So now,
concept.
Physical CDs.
Not this time for the singles, but every other time, yes.
It was a physical CD then?
No, in 1997 up through 21?
Electronic?
All CDs, and then the last 2 I did not press. Just because they were singles, it felt gratuitous to have a single.
Did you actually do any vinyl?
No, I've never done.
Yeah, you notice it coming out again.
I mean, actually, I saw last year that vinyl is outselling CDs.
Yeah.
It's outsold CDs
sort of
for the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of a nostalgic thing. But
I know.
At the same time,
My brother is a huge audiophile, lives up in San Francisco, and he's got probably literally thousands.
Okay, so
of
where
records.
do you get the phonograph for that?
He's got the full high techy.
Oh really?
He's like, you gotta hear this. So I'll go up to his house in San Francisco, sit on the hill, I'll sit there, okay, Matt, let's go. He puts it on, and it's like, dude, the system sounds great. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays the record. I'm like, dude, it's 2023. Yeah. But he swears like there's just some stuff. And I get it. Like I grew up in the 70s and the 80s,
That machine right there, you familiar with that machine?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A lot of guys nowadays, or a lot of artists, are taking albums and they're getting samples off of it.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they're using that to create music. That's a whole different bag.
Yeah, that's a whole bag. Yeah, a whole different deal.
Yeah.
I love analog. We haven't really recorded analog ever. Like I've mixed analog a couple times, and I've worked with analog. But I mean, look.
Oh, okay.
Anybody can make a good sounding record now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It doesn't mean the songs are good. It doesn't mean the performances are great. Yeah. But there's enough splicing and editing and re-editing and formatting. I mean, you can loop a 2-second guitar solo and make it sound like it's a 15-minute freaking Inagata-Davida, because it's just cutting and pasting, and pasting. So for me now, it's like instead of, I'm so anal retentive, used to be in the studio, just every little scratch and every little note and every little scratching of the strings. And now it's like what I've come to realize over time is it's like, I don't want to sound like everybody else. Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the same guitar tones. I don't want to have the same, because if you're doing everything in the post-production, right? If you're doing like post for delays on guitars or, obviously reverb for vocals is different, but like on regular instruments, not using the sound of the room for the drums. Yeah. Then eventually if you're piling all that into the post and then mixing in the post with effects and things like that, it's generally kind of gonna sound like somebody else to me.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going in and you're creating the tones and you're miking the tones and getting them as raw and as good as they can sound, then whatever you do in the post is cool. But at least you're gonna have something that's a unique product. So
that's true.
Before I wanted to talk to you, or before I was gonna come down here and talk to you, I was listening to all the old stuff that I've done. I made a run through basically everything I've ever done. Cringing like 30% of the time. Oh my god!
You mean the stuff that's never been published then?
There's stuff that's been published, but it's like I don't listen to myself unless I have to go back and learn a song or learn a part. And so I go back. I was doing a little retrospective to kind of figure out not only talking to you, but I'm actually putting together sort of like a retrospective on my career. It's like a one-man show. So I've got video backdrop and everything, and I'm learning some of the old songs that I literally haven't played in like 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. So like, hey, that wasn't bad. You know, it was pretty good. But the one thing I did kind of, you know, the end result of all that was like, good effort, dude, good job.
Right.
You know, could have been better a lot of times.
Yeah.
But at least it sounds like me. Yes. And it doesn't really sound like anything else.
Yeah.
Like everyone else loves to make Rush comparisons with my music, which is like, thank you. Like,
but
you can go ahead
but
and
no
compare
thanks,
me
right?
to the greatest three musicians of all. I mean, you know, the band of all time.
Yeah.
That's cool, but it's not really. You know, there's so many other influences and things like that in there. So the thing that I was really proud of, honestly, Rick, was it's like it sounded like an entity unto itself, and not so much like anybody else. And I think a large part of that is like embracing the getting good tones when you're recording and interesting tones. You know.
Oh yeah. I see. Do you sing?
I do. I sing and play. That's all me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was watching a video on that one in particular.
That's just an instrumental.
On that one in particular, I didn't just check something here to make sure that we're still going. Yeah, we're going good. So
yeah, that's an instrumental. So that's why I don't sing on that one. But yeah, it's all me.
That's cool. So now, was watching the video. You've got a couple of ladies in the group, right?
Yeah. So actually, it's always been Little King has always been at its core a three-piece: bass, drums, and guitar.
Okay, so
our trio. So I mean, it's Manny.
Let me guess. Let me guess.
Guess cheat sheet.
You had Shannon.
Shannon back in the day, for sure.
Mike Esparza.
Mike Esparza.
And then let's see, Alex Lizarro.
Okay, so the first two were Mike on bass.
Okay.
Esparza, and then Alex Lizarrazo was his name. Hey Alex. They were the first guys that I jammed with, and then through the years, yes, Shannon Brady, who's also probably like my best friend, my oldest best friend, is played bass. Manny Tejeda, who's on all of the new stuff, basically, has been the bass player since 2016, I guess.
Yeah.
Brian Ramos played on one of my EPs. So I've had all these guys, with the exception of Manny, and gals are based in El Paso. I've always recorded in El Paso.
Really?
Yes, always tracked there. I lived there for a long time, and I kind of came up in that scene. So when someone asks me where I'm from, I was like, well, I'm from Seattle, but musically I'm from the borderland. Yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you that because, you know, again, you sent me the bio, so you should expect me to ask questions. I wasn't going to even read it because I wanted to go, you know.
But then you're like, wait a second, that's pretty long.
I got to reading it, and then I came up with more questions.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
cool. Fire away.
So you've been in El Paso.
Yep.
You've been in San Jose.
Yes.
Let's see, Seattle.
Grew up in Seattle. Yeah. K through 12 in Seattle.
What brought you to Tucson?
So, okay. I grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
Just right outside of Seattle, in a suburb called Mercer Island. And it's a beautiful place. And it was especially cool in the 70s and the 80s because it wasn't so tech, it wasn't so overrun.
Yeah.
It's really expensive and you know, just kind of tough to make it work there financially now, unless you got a pretty, you know, couple good incomes.
Seattle?
Seattle.
Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah, it is. But it's a great city, and my dad's still there. You know, I have still stepbrother and stepsister up there. So I've got a lot of family. I'm there a couple times a year. But I was so getting sick of the weather when I was 18. Done. Because my whole life it had been raining on me. And I knew I didn't like it. Like I just knew, like even at an early age, when I walk outside, the sun was out. Like, God, I feel way better. And so when I had an opportunity to get out of Seattle, as much as I loved it, and I came down here, and my stepsister had gone here, Betsy, and so I had one other person in my family with some Tucson experience. So I came down here. I got accepted to college here. I stopped applying everywhere else. I just said, fine, I'm just going to go and see how it goes. So I came here in 1990 basically for the sun and for school.
For school? U of A?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I walked down the mall the first day at the U of A. I remember Seattle dork. Right? All right, how you doing? Right? Yeah. Curly hair. Yeah. Hey, what's going on from Seattle? A little rugby on, some short shorts and shit. And and the whole mall is just girls. It's just all scantily clad women laying out on the first day of school. And I looked at my dad and I'm like, Dad?
This is where you want to be.
I'll see you down the road, Pops.
Yeah.
And so I only stayed here 2 years. I did meet a girl, and she was from El Paso, actually. So I moved back there in 92. I was here 2 years the first time, 90 through 92.
Okay.
It seems like it was 10, but it was really only 2.
Okay.
And then El Paso, that's where the El Paso timeline starts. So we got married right away as soon as I got there.
Oh, okay. Your kids play music?
Yeah, my daughter was an excellent upright bass player in
cool.
high school, and then she just kind of quit. She's into other stuff,
okay.
more into visual art. Asher, my son, plays piano. He's like trained. They both can read really well, and I can't read at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, they're definitely schooled, and I'm clearly self-taught guy. But yeah, they play. Asher played on my last album. He put a little.
He did really.
He had a little piano solo on a song called "Set It Down," sobriety anthem song.
That's neat.
Yeah, it was so cool to have. Yeah, he was 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So he drilled it. He's a very diligent, very responsible kid. And so he sat down, learned his parts, practiced them for 6 months. Yeah. Went in the studio in El Paso. And he knows all my bros in El Paso. And you can imagine what my music friends in El Paso are like.
So there's a lot of promise for your kids in the entertainment business, because that visual arts and media is big. It's
well,
big.
I don't know if there's. I mean, the business, yikes.
Oh yeah, I know.
The art and the creation itself, yeah. I mean,
exciting.
especially Asher, he's like super creative. But yeah, as soon as it crosses into the how do I make money in this, it's that's where the headaches start. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know a few composers that compose soundtracks and stuff.
Yeah.
And the competition is stiff to get your music into a soundtrack for a movie or even a
music
short
supervision is a whole nasty other thing.
Yeah.
I own all of my catalog, all the publishing and all the lyrics, everything. So 200% essentially right through ASCAP.
Yeah.
So my little publishing company that I formed way back in the day is called Mad Bell Records. And then all the words are written by Ryan Rosoff, which is me. And so now I have, after 27 years,
so you went through the
doing
whole copyright thing and everything.
I mean, once you've got a song recorded and once you've got it registered with ASCAP, no, it's not. I didn't ever send it to Library of Congress. It is a copyright. It's copyright.
I mean, it's hard to question it. Yeah, or to content.
I mean, even back in the day, we did the poor man's copyright in the 90s, which is like take the CD, and send it to yourself, and come back. It's copyright. If you ever had to go to court, you crack that bad boy open. The judge says, "Let's hear it," and boom, they're done.
Yeah. Well, you remember that recent? I think it's been about a year. The Dua Lipa thing with that.
Oh yeah.
What did you think about that?
I don't remember that. I remember Dua Lipa, having an issue. I do remember the most recent one was the guys that sued Jimmy Page for Stairway to Heaven.
That way, they didn't win that.
They did not win.
They can't win.
Really close.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're notes.
You can't copyright chords.
You could copyright. It's nebulous. I mean, yes, you can. Because there are only 12 of them, right? So
well, jazz, I don't know. It's like
I mean, but so that you can copyright songs though, and there is the preponderance of evidence indicates that you've this off.
Yeah.
But that one was close. I don't think they really did, but it's happened. It's happened through the years.
Yeah.
But getting back to what you're saying, so I've got now this catalog of 58, 57 songs, 58 songs, I think. And half of them I probably don't want to see the light of day.
Yeah.
But the other part of them, getting them remixed, getting them remastered, even retracking them. I'm going through the process now this year of getting in the hands of someone who can approach music supervisors. I don't know in that part of the business if it's good as the artist to also be representing yourself in business. Back in the day, like 90s and 2000s when I was coming up, you always wanted to have representation.
Sure.
Whether it was an attorney, whether it was a manager, whether it was somebody that was specifically just handling your publishing. Now I think things have changed a little bit because there's so much sharing of files and information. But I don't know. It's something I need to look into and find out because I really do want to get.
I think it's easier to get into the producer role. And take it all the way up to the production.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if you need legal help, you can always find it.
Yeah. Everybody, managers will say no all day long, but most lawyers aren't going to say no to a $10,000 retainer.
Oh no.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. They'll help you.
And if that's what it is, if that's what it needs to be, then that's what I'll do. But it's for the purpose of. Okay, so it's deeper than that. This is a really interesting conversation. Okay, I love having this conversation. On camera, no less.
Right? That's good.
Here we go. So I definitely want to make more income from my songs. I spent so much time editing and writing and re-editing, as an artist. And I put everything I've got, all the amount of time that I spent just like on my bed with my guitar, through the process of writing the words, going and tracking, recording, and bringing in the ladies in my band and the dudes or whatever. It's a huge, long process. I definitely believe it would be nice to receive remuneration for the effort. But here's the interesting part of this conversation. When I see the Stones on a Fiat commercial or I hear Rush on, a beer commercial, whatever, I'm being, these are examples that are not accurate, but you get the point.
Yeah.
It tends to bastardize the art a little bit to me. There's a dude named Bill Hicks who's like one of my favorite, the late great Bill Hicks. He's a stand-up comedian from Austin, I think. brilliant man died way too young. I think pancreatic cancer at like 34 in the 90s. Bill Hicks is an amazing guy, and one of his, he called his little routines, he called them rants. Mm-hmm. One of his rants was talking about if you sell your songs to the man for a commercial, you have lost all artistic integrity.
Yeah, well.
And it like really, since the time I heard that, and it was an artist, it's really stuck with me.
Yeah.
So do I want, mea culpa on a peanut commercial?
Yeah.
Do I want internal smut, used to be selling, I'm caught up in the game, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. A movie opening, sure maybe.
Yeah.
Sure maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
No, that'd be nice. I mean, so, I was on Facebook. They took my music, and they had a suggestion for reels. Have you seen that?
Of course.
Up and coming artists.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Well, it only took 2 weeks for my stuff to be a suggestion to use on reels. So
was your stuff through a distributor?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just make it available.
Yeah.
So who distributes for you? Who does
DistroKid.
Yeah.
DistroKid.
Yeah. So they put it everywhere.
Yeah. So there's a lot to it, and I think that a lot of people don't understand is that there's so much to the music in producing it. There's the composing.
Oh, it's a huge process.
The tracking, the recording, the mixing, the mastering, and then
how about just the inspiration and the angst and the fucking passion that goes into it?
Exactly.
Like we chose to do this not because I know you've got another gig and I've had another gig for years and stuff, but clearly this is where we invest our time. So what's that worth?
Right. And
financially.
Exactly.
He played with Ministry for a while. He's a bass player.
What was that video done?
That was at the Rock House in El Paso.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Rock
That's
House
a neat place.
It's a great club. Yeah. Mateo.
Is it just rock?
They do a variety of stuff, but I mean, it's definitely caters mostly to touring rock bands. I think it's like a 400 capacity. It's a great club.
At one time, you were doing. Were you producing for some jazz and stuff like that?
No, promoting.
Promoting.
I was.
Where'd that take you?
2000. Ha! So I started my business where I was working for the man, in 99 and 2000. And I finally just after working for the man, I'm not fucking good at working for the man.
Yeah. Well.
High five. Yeah.
So where are you going to take your band now from here?
I definitely will never stop creating music. I'm trying to figure out how much of a part live performances means to me.
Okay.
I love playing live, and I love playing with a band.
Okay.
Definitely going to do a few shows regionally, locally, and regionally as a one-man band because I'm passionate about at least playing some of the old stuff all the way up to the new stuff.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the year is creation. It's writing. So I've got 3.5 songs kind of semi-done musically. Mm-hmm. They come quickly when I discipline myself.
Yeah.
I have to get my headspace, myself in that headspace. But, the thrill for me of ripping open the CD or having that song finally, getting that final master.
Yeah.
Used to be getting the CD and putting it in the car with your homies and listening to it for the first time. That was always thrilling. I live for that. That really lights me up.
Yeah,
the final product.
Yes.
Hanging that sucker on the wall, literally in my case I have little frames for each one of them. And knowing that there's going to be a legacy that continues to develop and continues to grow, and knowing that stuff is going to be preserved for posterity. Perhaps that's ego speaking, wanting to know that you have a part of you that's going to live on forever. But I think, okay, sure, fine. It's part of his ego, don't care. It's still really important to me to leave behind something.
Well, I totally agree with you on that one because, and some musicians get irritated with me because I'll say the big difference between writing and recording and playing out live is that, maybe they don't like the way I put it, but I'll say, when you play live, it goes out into the air.
Yeah.
And people hear you.
Yeah.
And, they'll forget that night eventually,
Yeah.
They might remember it a few.
Or they're recording it.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, potentially. When you record something, it's there in perpetuity, you think. Right?
It is.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But, and of course, I know that the thing that sort of crosses your mind too is that, well, okay, maybe it's there in perpetuity, but who will be listening to it? Doesn't
matter to me.
A century.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, I don't know. It's all at the end of it. It's on my deathbed. Do I want to be looking back and
it's written?
Yeah,
it's done.
I like the satisfaction that comes with that. Personally,
it's memorialized. You know, and that's important to us. You know,
to us as artists.
Exactly. So it's a personal thing, I think.
There's such. I mean, as much as I love both recording and playing live, there's such different disciplines.
Yeah.
They require such a different set of not only skills but also time management, dedication to whatever it is. When I'm playing those songs live, the ones that are 25 years old, it's totally different process than creating for me.
Yeah.
I love both. The discipline that comes with that. I'm not always the most self-disciplined guy. I'm a lot of energy and motivation, but I'm not always super disciplined.
Yeah.
The discipline that comes with that is good for me.
Yeah.
Because we nail it over and over again.
Yep.
The recording thing, the reason, like I said, I don't have a DAW, I don't have a huge knowledge of how to edit, is I think I'd do it to death. I'm not sure I can walk away from it.
Yeah.
A song.
For those people that don't know, it's digital audio workstation.
Sorry, digital audio workstation, exactly.
But,
that's Pro Tools, Digital Performer we were talking about before, Logic, Cakewalk, blah, blah, blah. There are like 15 of them out there that are pretty competitive, all of them. But I've stayed away from that because, I really get scared of it. But I like the live thing, so I want more of that. But as we were talking about before, my band's spread out.
Yeah.
It is financially prohibitive to do it unless I've got some backing, unless I've got there's legit demand out there for like people want to see Little King. Like, let's go, I'll do it. But.
So which brings me to one final topic.
Yeah.
Which is people management.
Ah.
That's a fun one, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, in a band, I think we've all had experiences with people and managing people. What's your philosophy on it?
Yeah.
I mean, what you've seen, what you've done.
That's such a great question. Rick, for sure. So, alluding a little bit back to the team building part of my life, the last 13 years or so, or more, really 14 years, it sort of crystallized for me some things that I always kind of knew, but didn't have the nomenclature to be able to attach to a particular philosophy or approach.
Yeah.
Leadership development, I didn't really know what the words are, what the names of the terms, what the phrases of how to do it is. But I think I've always had a natural ability to steer away from my own ego and put the energy and the time back into the creation and the creative process. And by extension, the people who are contributing to it as well. So I don't feel like I'm managing anybody. Really, I never have. I've always felt like we're just trying to set it up to be as creatively successful as possible, and then pick and choose the people to work with that I know that I can trust implicitly. You got to hire well, right? And not necessarily even in the music business, but like in the team building business, we worked with all those big ass Fortune 500 companies. You have to have a hiring profile and a vetting process and all these things. There is some science to that process as well. I don't think there's anything different with band building and team building. I think they run parallel with so many. There's so many metaphors within each that cross over to the other. My team is dope people. Cool. They may be spread out, but the process of creating with them and working with them and the reliability and just who they are as human beings, like as people to hang out with, love them all. And that's been vetted over time.
Wow.
Because it doesn't always end that way.
Oh, no.
But I just, I put my foot down 15 years ago. I'm like, I'm not working with anybody except, people who I really like and trust. Because I can.
Yeah. So you had to go through a lot of screening of musicians to get to where you are right now with the people you work with.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked through a lot of people. That's for sure. People self-select out all the time. I mean, Little King has never been a living for anybody. So people come in and out as they can and as they need and as their availability will allow them to. And I'm super understanding of that. I'm certainly not, as the band leader putting demands on anybody's time. If somebody can't do it, I can definitely find somebody else. But again, I'm raising a child. I'm a single dad. I've done this twice. I've been a single parent twice. I've had a career running parallel. So music hasn't always been the focus. It's now becoming the focus because of the things happening in my business life and my personal life. My son's ready to go to college in a year and a half, and so for me now, you asked before like what's
so next? You've been more of a touring group,
studio group. I haven't really toured in earnest since 2007. So
it's not that the club scene, like the circuit, like being in a club and house band or anything like that.
Way more interested in what you were talking about for the last 15 years, which is the posterity, the creation.
Yes.
That was way more interesting for me.
Oh, got it.
Plus my life's circumstances, being a single dad,
right,
running a business,
yeah,
you know, having adult responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know, you can't tour unless there's demand or unless there's financial
That's
backing.
right. Which one comes first, though?
Recording.
You know, because a lot of people say, well, okay, you record, and nowadays you got to get your music out there. So
recording comes
you
first.
record it, you market your music, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the thought is you got to go tour, but you got to have some place to tour to. I mean,
I mean, there's that side of the business, though. Is every bit as detailed and intricate as learning a digital audio workstation.
Yeah.
There are so many ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
And so, again, finding an expert, somebody who is willing to use their experience on my behalf would be the way to do it.
An agent or something.
An agent.
Yeah.
Would be the way to do it. We fall in that category of haven't toured that much.
Uh-huh.
So how much demand is there really?
Yeah.
And you can create demand through social media, and I think we do a pretty good job of that.
Uh-huh.
You know, we've got a fair amount of traffic sometimes.
Yeah.
It's up and down like everything else. Creating the music, doing the publicity, notifying the humans, you know, the people who are, you know, responsible for shining spotlight what it is you're doing. But for me, the recording is always going to be the thing first.
Yeah,
I can never tour again and only record the rest of my life and be okay.
Am I wrong in thinking, and I'm asking you, is it your opinion on this, am I wrong in thinking that being a cover band is not going to get you in you know, upscale venues?
Remember when I posted that thing the other day and you commented on us about the authenticity and and being true to yourself and having honest conversations with yourself. So I think as a musician and as a human, but as a musician, because that's what we're talking about here, I think that's a really important conversation to have with yourself. Why am I doing this?
Right.
I mean, do it for the chicks, for the dudes.
Yeah.
Are you doing it for the money?
Yeah.
You know, is this your job? Are you doing it for the adulation? You know, the fame, the clicks, the likes, the streams. Are you doing it for the joy of the creative process and that posterity and having the legacy and putting it up on the wall?
Yeah.
I don't think many musicians ask themselves that at all. I think a lot are just caught up in what it is they think they're good at, what they've been told their role is going to be in this particular situation. And I think there's some limitations that they put on, that we all put on ourselves in that circumstance. But to me, that creation is always going to be the end for me.
Well, this topic is what most important that I think, you know, of this interview. And that's you know, how our philosophy in being, you know, having a group, recording, and you know the how can I say, sometimes you get musicians and personalities and stuff like that don't mesh. Yeah. You know, and
let's talk about that a little bit.
Running a group, you know.
Yeah.
And
what can I address that before you? Yeah, because it's fresh in my brain. I don't want to lose it. That's having that initial conversation. What everybody's expectations and goals are. Yeah. What are you here for? Like, what do you want to do?
Yes.
Why are we jamming? Like, it may seem sort of like an odd concept for sit down with a guy you're getting or a gal you're getting ready to jam with. They're like, what do you want? Yeah. What do you want? It's like, what, are we dating? Like, no. That's not what's going on. Well, we're music dating. Yeah. Exactly. Hell yeah, we are. Yeah, we're music dating. That's right. And I think like those simple tidbits of my last 27 years, those little share pieces, right? Yeah. Those can be helpful. Yes. No one probably thinks about that. Yeah. You know, just getting together with somebody, because everybody's in it for different reasons. Yes. Right. As you and I are talking through it a little bit, I can see that you and I are on the same page. Yes. The creation is the thing. Yeah. I adore the process. I adore the end result. Mm-hmm. I adore the endless possibilities of your library or my guitar effects or whatever it is, or the different instrumentation, these string players. Yeah. See, what you do with your library, I do with musicians. Yes. Oh, this dude is a great cello player. Oh, he's got a violinist and a viola player with him. Oh my God, string trio arrangement, boom, done. That to me is always going to be what I'm here for. Yeah. Well, that's the thing I see with the stuff I have, because I can experiment without having to have the musicians here. And you know, ideally, you would experiment, get the arrangement using let's call it the samples, sounds and all that. Sure. And then you would bring a group together to perform it. Ideally. You know, that's ideal.
but that's not always possible.
Do you use Sibelius or whatever to print out music, or whatever the program is to
take
a composition and print out sheet music?
Sheet music only when I need to really look at something in detail, like bass lines.
Do you read though pretty well?
I read pretty good.
Okay.
I haven't sight read in a long time.
Right.
But I'm very good at writing out my music.
Right.
I'm prolific.
Can you read, like, if you were going to be in a cover band, God forbid, I'm just kidding, kidding. Can you read and play along?
It depends on, you mean...
like you played Doobie Brothers covers,
you mean
Steely Dan, or something.
Comping?
Like that.
Oh, yeah, I can comp.
Yeah.
I can comp.
You sight read as you're going through.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
comping. Because that's what I do anyways when I write.
I see.
I write all my chords, and I'm comping to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm singing, and I'm playing the chords, so...
Gotcha.
It's the same thing.
That's your process.
Yes.
Going through the chords.
And comping is no different as if you're backing yourself up versus the group,
Are you setting tempos when you're playing and changing tempos and practicing the different tempos? And
sometimes I speed it up, sometimes I slow it down.
Yeah. That's been so helpful to me in the last 5 years. I wasn't disciplined to doing that before in my creative process. So this is good to get to. I know we're all over the place, but it's important to my process.
Yeah. There's so much to it.
So many different feels to a group of notes, 6 notes, at 60 beats a minute and 150 beats a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes so little time in your composition and creative process to try a few of them.
Well, yeah.
And it's just changed my life, honestly, having that discipline to be able to try them at different... Because as a guitar player, especially growing up in the 80s, I was listening to Yngwie Malmsteen and all of Metallica, like Kurt Hammond, the Shredders, those guys, Maiden, Judas Priest, and those guys were my heroes. So my tendency is to want to, blaze through that stuff. I was like, okay, try it at 60 beats a minute. Oh, that's where the one should fall. Oh, if I put 2 extra notes in there and I'm falling behind the beat and then I'm catching up over here at 60, what's that going to sound like at 80? Up to 80. So it's really made a big difference. I think my compositions are better now.
When you had that flexibility to be able to, to experiment.
And play to the gnome. Play to that metronome.
There's so much experimentation you can do,
I did not start off playing.
Transposing, you can do all that now.
But I think if you hear something as a composer,
Yeah.
regardless of what the theory behind it is, if you hear something and it moves you, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for those moments. I like those moments a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the cool collaborative process when we finish our compositions and then run them through the hands of the expert bass player, the expert sax player, or whoever it is.
Exactly.
Man, that lights me up, girl.
Oh, yeah.
That's the stuff.
That's when things come together
for me.
That's
because all of a sudden it's like this composition that I made on my bed with my little guitar. I'm still 13,
Yeah.
Learning Rush songs from the chord book and Zeppelin songs and Floyd songs. And I'm totally still that kid. So the fact that everybody puts up with me enough to be like, I'll write a part to that. I'm still like, wow, really?
Yeah.
This sucks. And I'm like, no, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So that to me, I want that. I want more of that in 2024.
Yeah.
How do I get there though? That's the question.
It's easy. Yeah, I mean, working with the right people.
But I think finding those people, we're left to, how you doing? So what's going on? How do you feel about are you cool with playing this long term? Is this just a one-off for you? How busy are you?
Yeah.
I mean, those are I don't know.
Yeah. I've had musicians come in here and when you're looking for musicians and they come in, they audition and then say, well, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Well, I've got 3 other groups I'm playing with.
Yeah, there's that.
And I'm booked solid. I said, well, it's like, why are we here today?
Yeah. I wanted to see maybe if it's just a better paying opportunity.
I think so. Maybe
some
maybe
business.
so.
Yeah, it's hard as the composer who is not necessarily not making a ton of money for our music. It's hard to see the commodity side of it sometimes. To bring ourselves back to reality and say, look, this is a gig for somebody. They need to get paid. They're going to invest their time where where they're getting broke off a little better. So yeah. Because we're like, oh, my art.
Yeah, I know.
Screw your art, kid. Where's the money?
Where's the money? I
want to get paid.
Yeah.
Respect. Yeah. Not my angle.
Yeah. That's a huge topic. Is managing musicians?
I mean, what are you trying to do though? Like, are you trying to go on tour, or are you trying to create something in the studio? Again, identifying with yourself, identifying internally. What am I trying to accomplish? Then you have the hiring profile that you can start to put together based on what your goals are.
What I've heard from people is I've done all these recordings of people. Well, when are we going to get to see you play live?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know what that means, right? It means putting a group together.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, the horror.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly. You know.
You got this.
Oh yeah, I know.
You got it.
But it's a whole different ball game.
I know.
Isn't it?
It's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's really hard.
Yeah.
I think for me, only having been living back here now for 3 years, and again, my job is dad and mom. Like I'm mom, dad.
Right.
You know, in my house. That's been priority one.
Yep.
And then I was still working, you know, when I got here too. So I haven't circulated as much in the live community, going to see local shows and things like that. Done some.
Right.
I've been to Rialto a bunch of times, and I've been, you know, I haven't been to 191 Tool, but I need to go there. But House of Bards and like some of the smaller.
House of Bards, yeah.
I mean, I played at Shooters when we were here, which is a cool, small, weird club. You know, I love that place over on Country Club. So I need to do more of that. Yeah. I think, but it should be.
There's a drummer somewhere back in, I think it's in back east. Let's just say.
Yeah.
He used to be my drummer.
Yeah.
I'd have him in my band.
Yeah.
You know, in a heartbeat.
But we've got to circulate. You've got to get out there. I've got to get out there. Fine.
Exactly.
Because the in-person thing for you and for me, the way we are as human beings, it's got to be an in-person thing.
Right.
I really need to vibe with somebody and feel them. And you will find, I think, if you're diligent about it, like you've been diligent about everything else in your life, if you're like, the joy that I'm going to receive from playing live is immense. Therefore, I am willing to focus and put the effort into the execution of a plan to build a band. And then you'll crush it, because that's how we are.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. You just have to get to that place where it's like, okay, really, it's time.
Yeah.
Really time now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The joy is, okay, so I hadn't been out there live for 15 years a lot. And so just playing those last shows, you know, the last year or so, it was definitely a different trip. I'm busy on stage. I got a lot going on in my music, so the singing and the playing is hard. Those are odd time signatures and some weird keys and things, especially the older songs when I wasn't writing in the best key for me. So I've had to transpose some things, you know, and do some different things. So the joy was there, but it is a lot. Yeah. It is a lot. I'm not going to lie. Oh. The whole band coordination schedule and all that stuff, it is,
the equipment, moving people and equipment back and forth. Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's hard.
It's a lot. But yes, the thrill of an hour of my music with 6 other people on stage was killer. Yeah. You know, 5 other people. Cellist, violinist, Jess, also playing sax, Manny, Ed, or Scott, and then me. Yeah, so 5 other people on stage. It was really cool. Yeah. I'd never done that before.
That's the interaction between you and the audience.
Oh, just hearing my brutal guitar playing act with strings on the parts that are on the record, sounding like perfectly the way we laid them down 5 years ago on the record. That brought me a ton of satisfaction. Yeah. Actually, even more than I thought. But yes, Rikki, is a lot. Yeah, I know. In the lead up.
I know.
It's real.
It's real.
I bequeath it unto you. Go forth.
It's coming.
You'll be just fine.
It's coming.
I swear.
Well, you know, the good thing is that I'm probably going to have somewhere around a 4-piece. I think.
That's plenty.
I'd love to have piano, drums, guitar. Yeah. Well, I'm singing, so I play piano. That's care of 2 people. Maybe guitar, right? And then and that should be easy, right? I mean, because nowadays we have tracks we can give out.
It is easy.
We can just give stems out and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. Yeah.
So it's coming. Yeah. So, you know, sooner or later I gotta do it.
Yeah. Go.
I know. You gotta promote it. Well, it's been a good talk. We could go on for hours.
We did.
I know.
That's good.
But
I could do another 4 or 5.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I knew it was going to be an interesting talk.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
I mentioned it today, but
we got a lot to talk about.
Thank you for coming.
For sure, my pleasure.
No, it was awesome.
Good to finally meet you in person. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. If you need a guitar player who can't read music.
You're it?
I'm really cheap.
It's cool. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we could come up with something.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Right.
Bye-bye, Tucson.
Bye.
Comatose